You wake up, turn on your phone, and take your first snap of the day before your feet even hits the ground. On the way to the bathroom, you post your entire schedule for the day on your Facebook page, and just before you leave for work, you take a picture which you post on Instagram. This has become a daily routine for most people, and although it may seem harmless now, the information you upload to the internet could be used against you sometime in the near future. When Mark Zuckerberg posted a picture of himself on Facebook, a few things stuck out. First, the camera and the microphone on his laptop were taped over, and lastly, he was actively running a VPN software. I found it a bit ironic that a man whose $500 billion company relies on its users uploading intimate details about their lives is worried about his own privacy. Many of us will remember Edward Snowden, the former NSA analyst who currently resides in Russia. He revealed programs like Prism and Xkeyscore, which are capable of finding nearly everything a user does on the internet through data intercepts from across the world. These programs were even used to spy on leaders of countries as well as entire foreign governments. Although there was a huge outcry after the revelations of these hidden search programs, the public interest in who their respective governments are spying on has slowly fizzled away, and yet these programs remain functional and just as powerful as they were when initially exposed. US lawmakers even voted early in January this year to extend NSA programs that collect communications over the internet for national security purposes, the same programs exposed only 4 years ago. Social media checks and mobile device searches are becoming disturbingly common to frequent travelers across the globe as governments seek to gather more data on those leaving and entering their respective countries. It simply cannot be understated how relevant the information we put out there is, especially with so many people watching, most of whom we do not know. The thought crime first proposed by George Orwell is slowly becoming reality, as saying the wrong thing on social media could land a person in serious trouble with the police in several countries. These restrictions on what we can say or think are carefully veiled under the idea of fighting hate speech, but it is only a precursor to an era where the things we say, even to ourselves, will be watched, analyzed, and archived by our respective governments. Now, you may be telling yourself you're not a bad person and you have nothing illicit to hide from your government, so none of this directly affects you. The only problem with that argument is the private data you upload to the internet is not only available to the authorities, but to companies, hackers, and even online stalkers. 4 years ago, almost 500 private pictures of various celebrities, mostly women, and many containing nudity, were exposed on the image board 4chan, and later disseminated by other users in websites and social networks such as Twitter and Reddit. The data was stolen by hackers who exploited a security flaw in the Apple iCloud API, which allowed them to make unlimited attempts at guessing the passwords of their victims. Hackers even figured out how to hijack entire cell phone conversations from cell towers by using off-the-shelf equipment that could be bought by anyone. So you see, not only are governments monitoring their citizens, they are also doing nothing to stop private parties from monitoring your conversations and online data as well. The idea of big data has been championed by companies around the world for providing better ads and substantial improvements to technologies like self-driving cars. What they fail to mention, though, is the privacy issues that come with companies holding such large amounts of data. By now, it is glaringly obvious that when people generate thousands of data points every day, like where they go, whom they communicate with, what they buy, what they eat, what they watch, how much they exercise, and how much they sleep, they become vulnerable to exposure in ways that were unthinkable just a decade ago. Even those of us who stay away from social media are not safe, as the means by which our data is collected in the future will be invisible and yet omnipresent. With the advent of the Internet of Things, the very appliances and gadgets we bring to our homes will monitor every aspect of our personal lives. Devices we talk to will record and upload our conversations. Even the toys we buy for our kids will spy on them and send the information collected to unknown parties where they will be analyzed and shared with vendors. The cameras of tomorrow will blend into the environment, making them virtually undetectable to the naked eye. Some of these recording devices will achieve this by either looking like mundane objects in our surroundings or mimicking animals and insects. Researchers at North Carolina State University placed an array of microphones and electrode sensors onto the back of a swarm of cockroaches as a means to control the movement of these insects. It wouldn't be far-fetched to think such biobots could be utilized in the future for spying on people in their homes and offices. The surveillance devices of the future could even possess the ability to read the thoughts of an individual in real time. And although this seems crazy right now, research into the field of neuroscience is already in advanced stages and could lead to the creation of such a device in a couple of years. I suspect living in a world where your most personal thoughts could be plucked from your mind without your consent by authority figures or even a machine would be quite a terrifying circumstance for just about anyone. Furthermore, as the data in the hands of the authorities responsible for keeping us safe increases, the need will arise for artificial intelligence to not only sift through that data, but also make decisions based upon it. We already use algorithms to identify potential terrorists and offer parole recommendations for criminals. Soon, highly advanced AIs will likely guide many aspects of personnel management, such as hiring and firing of employees. While this may be more efficient, algorithms do make mistakes, and in such cases, innocent people could find themselves on the receiving end of a bad judgment from a computer somewhere in a server farm. Not to mention, such a computer, if it were ever to become sentient, could use all that data to do unimaginable harm to us and those we care about. Scarier still, such an artificial being would believe it was doing so in our best interest. It is, however, important to note that these surveillance measures may indeed lead to a safer society in the short term, but eventually will bring the demise of freedom of expression, as people would fear the consequences of behaving in a way that is perceived as unacceptable. Furthermore, the question of who watches the watchers is infinitely more relevant. A society where those who act as protectors or watchmen are unaccountable to the people will always end in disaster. It is also logical that such levels of surveillance will lead people to guard their private affairs even more closely. We can already see this happening as the VPN market has seen strong growth in the past 5 years. Cryptocurrencies today are being utilized for transactions by people who didn't know what they were only a few years ago, and websites like Deceit.me currently allows its customers to delete a huge portion of their online presence simply by use of their emails. Now, the aim of this video is not to instill fear or lead my viewers to withdraw from society, spending the rest of their days in a cabin out in the middle of nowhere. It is, however, meant to implore caution and considerable thought on what we say or do in public and in private, as these things could very well be used against us in the future, even something as inherently harmless as watching a YouTube video. Please click the like and subscribe button below if you enjoyed the video. And if you want a heads up when I release new content, you could hit the notification button and follow my Twitter account as well. See you in the next one.